Shabbat Shalom, family. We're going to talk about JD Vance. There's a lot of people that are upset with him because he grew up on welfare and food stamps. And his mother, he wrote a book, I think that Hillbilly Allergy, and he spoke about his mother having a drug addiction, crack or something she was on back then. So she wasn't really taking care of a family like a mother should, and his family had to get on assistance. Yeah, his father was around, but they still had to go on welfare. So anyway, he fights real hard against SNAP now, and a lot of people are upset with him. If it wasn't for that same program, which was not called SNAP back then when he was growing up, if it wasn't for that program, it would not have saved him. He got saved by that program. So the very program that helped him, he now speaks to take away from others. So a lot of people call him out on his hypocrisy, and they don't like the fact that he doesn't care about the people on assistance now. He's with Donald Trump. Cut it off. Okay. So, cut it off, and then what? Because most of the people on there look just like him. Those are the ones you're gonna have a problem with, you know? And it's funny because over on TikTok, oh, they were running on all these videos. Oh, yeah, they gonna cut off Snap, and all of you welfare queens, talking to us. And our people had to quickly remind them the biggest ones on welfare are white people. Right? So after they kept pointing this out multiple times, now they hate when people put out videos telling them, the biggest recipients are white people. Now they're getting mad over that. So at the end of the day, y'all have always been the biggest ones on there because it was intended for you. When it came out in the 1930s, that was Jim Crow. Our people were not allowed to access it. Y'all been accessing it for many decades now. So by the time our people could get on it, y'all were on it for damn near 30 years. It wasn't until the 60s. So it was well over 30 years y'all were on it before the first one from our community could go on there. So that being said, there's no way we would have been the biggest ones on there. There's no way. Y'all got away with telling that lie for a very long time. A long time, y'all got away with it. But now that we are in the information age where anybody can go and access info about virtually anything online, y'all don't get away with that mess no more. Not anymore. All right, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. Okay, give me a one if you can see my screen. Thank you.
An absurd ruling because you have a federal judge effectively telling us what we have to do in the midst of a Democrat government shutdown, which what we'd like to do is for the Democrats to open up the government. Of course, then we can fund SNAP, and we can also do a lot of other good things for the American people. But in the midst of a shutdown, we can't have a federal court telling the president how he has to triage the situation. We're trying to keep as much turned on, we're trying to keep as much going as possible. The president and the entire administration are working on that, but we're not going to do it under the orders of a federal judge. We're going to do it according to what we think we have to do to comply with the law, of course, but also to actually make the government work for people in the midst of the Democrat government shutdown. If they would like to end this, we would welcome working with them to end this government shutdown, and then we wouldn't have to triage what we're going to fund and what we're not going to fund. And the last thing that I'll say is the American people are unfortunately about to start suffering some very real consequences because of the shutdown. In the past, when you had a government shutdown, you would have, under the Obama administration, they would lean into all of the problems it was going to cause for the American people at the beginning of the shutdown. The president has told us to keep as much going as humanly possible. But after 30 days of this thing, 40 days of this thing, you're going to start seeing very real travel delays. That's because the Democrat government shut down. You're going to start seeing SNAP benefits run out. That's because the Democrat government shut down. They should stop this charade and open up the government. That's what we want them to do. We've been asking them to do it for 40 days. It's time.
You cannot be for real. Oh my God, you for real. No, you for fake. No, you for real.
My whole thing with this SNAP benefits and food stamps and shit thing is JD Vance grew up off of food stamps. JD Vance is quite literally a food stamp baby, bro. So his family is cooked. All them niggas are cooked, bro. Fuck JD Vance, fuck Trump, and fuck Republicans. Them fucking cousin humper ass niggas, bro.
Wait a minute. So you're telling me JD Vance and his family was actually on food stamps? It has been recorded in his memoirs that when he was growing up, him and his family survived on the benefits of the food stamps, the SNAP benefits. That's right. Back in the day when they had the food stamps in the little books, the little brown and red different paper. But it's amazing to me how somebody has actually openly admitted that they survived and was using public assistance, SNAP benefits, food stamps, whatever you want to call it, when they were coming up, and they helped their family. And now that they have gotten to a point in life where they are politicians, whatever you want to call it, we big time now. We forget where we come from. So what was good for you and what helped you, people don't need that anymore. This world is amazing. I told y'all all these politicians were crooked as hell. You openly admitted that you had food stamps. You and your family used food stamps. But now, when people need food stamps the most, groceries through the roof, you can't buy a loaf of bread no more for 10 cents. You can't get a Coca-Cola for a nickel anymore. You can't get a bag of peanuts for $1. You know what I'm saying? Now, you're not fighting for the people to get the same benefits that help you and your family get you to the position, Mr. JD Vance, that you are in today. This is really sad.
Remember JD Vance's book, Hillbillyology or Hillbilly Ideology or whatever it was called? He talked about his mom. He talked about how his mom was on crack, well, cocaine or fentanyl or some drug, and his meemaw had to raise him. How his meemaw kept guns everywhere, all over the house when he was growing up. Remember how his family was on welfare, food stamps, the very same food stamps that helped you and your family is the very same food stamps you out here trying to take away from other families. You supposed to be the story. You supposed to be like, oh yeah, my family was on food stamps, but I grew up, my meemaw got me to college. Now I never got to look at food stamps again in life. And who's to say after he went to college that his meemaw didn't continue? That he didn't say, Grandma, you don't need those food stamps no more. I got money now. Bet you he didn't do that. But yeah, he trying to break the same system that raised him.
Hold on now. Let me get this right. Vice President JD Vance and his family used to be on food stamps, EBT and WIC. His family used to be on EBT, food stamps, and WIC, JD Vance. You used to get food stamps and WIC, but now you're counseling food stamps and WIC for people who need it. Now, ain't that an oxymoron? You used the benefit when you needed it. Now, people who need it, you don't want them to use the benefit. JD Vance is doing speeches about this. Food stamps ending. That's the Democrats' fault. No, it's your fault as a Republican. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, JD Vance. You use food stamps, WIC, EBT. Now you don't want nobody else to use it. This is terrible. I can't make this up. Wow. Now you got a little money you forgot that you used to be broke and your family needed food stamps at the time. Now you don't want nobody else to get it. JD Vance, this is horrible. You need to change your mind, sir. People need food stamps. And you used to use them, and you ate real good off those food stamps too.
So we all know JD Vance's family was receiving food stamp benefits, but y'all not gonna believe how much this man's father was making per hour, or if this was once he obtained his own construction company. Y'all check this out. It's gonna be a lot of information. Ride with me. Here we go. JD Vance, born August 2nd, 1984, 41 years old. Now look at this. Now I just wanted to show you this first. Yes, JD Vance family received food stamps, now known as SNAP. J.D. Vance's father, Donald Bowman, was born in Hamilton, Ohio in 1959. He worked as a machinist and later owned a construction business before passing away. Check this out. So I asked AI, I say, how much did they make doing this job back in the 1980s? And this is what they said. In the 1980s, hourly wage was roughly between $16 and $31 an hour, with an average of about $21 per hour. Now, I'm not the smartest man in the world, and I'm not the most resourceful person in the world, but I know that half these majority of these people that they didn't cut off of this, none of them make that. So you basically saying these people don't deserve what you and your family deserve, even though they less fortunate than your family. Somebody make this make sense to me. Y'all drop a comment. Tell me what y'all think about this.
JD Vance was literally raised on food stamps. He grew up in a chaotic home, in poverty, surrounded by addiction, and he's talked about that himself. He was that kid that the system was supposed to fail, but the very programs that he's stripping away from millions of Americans today once saved him. His family relied on government assistance to eat. He got a needs-based scholarship to Yale Law School because he did not come from money. He used veteran benefits after serving in the Marines. This man is a walking, talking product of social safety nets actually working. And now he's the face of the administration that's cutting food assistance, restricting Medicaid, and punishing the same struggling families he once was. It's not hypocrisy. This is self-hate on a national scale. You can't tell me that this man doesn't resent the version of himself who once needed help. Because instead of saying, I made it thanks to these programs, let's make them stronger, he's saying, I got mine, now the rest of you, you're on your own. How twisted is that? The kid who once depended on food stamps is now taking food off of people's tables. The boy who got a shot at Yale through financial aid now wants to close the door behind him. JD Vance is proof that these programs work, and instead of being proud of that, he is using his power to destroy them. It is not just cruel, it's betrayal of his own story. So when you see him talking about personal responsibility and ending government handouts, remember, without these handouts, JD Vance wouldn't even be JD Vance.
Here's Joe from Georgia. In breaking news, the judge in the SNAP benefits case has came out and said that benefits must be given out tomorrow, and that would be November the 7th. He said that the president was ignoring his court order, and it was unacceptable. So he has demanded that the United States start paying SNAP benefits as of tomorrow. Well, the White House is not happy about it, and J.D. Vance and the president were in the White House together, talking about too many people getting SNAP benefits. They didn't talk about people who actually qualified for them getting them. They just said everybody. They put them in a bucket. But one of the craziest things that you've got to say about this, of those two people in the room who are talking about people shouldn't receive SNAP benefits, well, the vice president is standing right there. He was raised on SNAP benefits. His family, direct recipient, to include his own mouth, of the food that was bought with SNAP benefits. But now he doesn't think people should have them. We'll see tomorrow if people start getting their SNAP benefits, or if it's going to be going to another level of the court system, which I'm sure it will.
So JD Vance's family needed food stamps to survive when he was a kid. How does he sleep at night, knowing that he just took that support away from families?
Do you know who was a food stamp user? JD Vance and his mom, JD Vance and his family. How he wrote in his little book that he used to be on food stamps and his mom used to collect food stamps, and they went through life using different social programs because they were a very low income family, even to the point that they use medical benefit cards because they didn't have any money. And then we also have Trump's mama. Ugh, I've forsaken the day that she came here, and she came with nothing, and she was a maid. That was her job. She started working as a maid. You don't think that she had help from people? And now these two losers, not only are they driving the country to the ground, they want to take these programs that they benefited from the rest of the people. You have to be very careful who you vote for. They're losers. And if you voted for them, so are you.
JD Vance, you know, the vice couch fucker, he was on food stamps. Growing up, he was on food stamps. He grew up poor in Ohio. He also went to college on DEI and affirmative action because he was poor. This man grew up poor and then turned his back on his people instead of making sure that those programs are there for people who had similar childhoods to him or similar life experiences to him. He went ahead and went to an Ivy League school and then cozied up next to his rich friends instead of working for the people, trying to make the people's lives better. He only went into it to enrich himself. So I want to remind you yet again, the Vice President of the United States grew up on food stamps, and he is also allowing this to happen to your children.
On another episode of What the Fuck is Going On is JD Vance wrote a book called Hillbilly Elegy, and I had a chance to listen to it on audio tape. And did you know that JD Vance was on food stamps? Yeah. When he was in Ohio, when he was young, he was dirt fucking poor, lived with his grandmother, and they were on food stamps. And now he's the vice president of the United States, and his people are on food stamps, are going to not have food stamps in less than 24 hours. So I guess he forgot what it's like to be poor. Amazing what Yale Law will do for you. There you have it.
Yeah, that's why so many people are calling him out today because, and it sounds like his father had the money to put food on the table. They sound like they cheated the system. If he had his own construction business and he was making what, 30 to 60,000 a year, then he should not have even been eligible. That means they cheated the system. So anyway, white people, that'll get overlooked. So anyway, y'all, this is just to kind of give you some insight on the hypocrisy of these people. So the very thing that he got raised on, he is now opposed to other people having food stamps. You shouldn't have that. Well, it is what it is, but nobody should be shocked over these folks' hypocrisy. They stay hypocritical all day long. It's not going to be any exception now at all. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you for being here. This is probably my final live stream for today. If I will be doing more tomorrow. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for watching. And I will see you all tomorrow once again on different topics. Shabbat Shalom, family.